there's quite a few different things that I've got down in this book. And if you were to come and look at this, you'd go, Charlene, how are you going to bring this all together? I don't know is the answer I've got for you this morning. And so I want to just speak openly today. Can we speak openly? This is family, but also we're on the same team. We're building something amazing. And this week I had the privilege of going up to Bradford. It's as far north as I've ever been before. It was a 4:00 in the morning start, and to get to King's Cross, and we watched the sunrise, and we saw the cows along the way as we went outside of London. And when I got there, I was so excited. It's somebody that I've told you about before, Charlotte Gamble and her husband Steve Gamble, and I've been just sort of following them on their podcasts and listening to them. And the thing that I love about them is that they are a UK church. They're not, we love Hillsong, we love the churches down the road, and everyone is doing an amazing job. But when you see somebody stepping up their game, and it's not like, oh, but they were in America in the Bible Belt, where it's just a free-for-all, or in South Africa where they say there's an open heaven, and over here they've spoken that's like, it's hard here. Have you ever heard somebody say it's really hard spiritually in the UK? It's dark and heavy. If you fly out and you fly back in, sometimes if you're paying attention, you'll feel it. But yet they are doing something amazing up north. And so I've listened to them a few times, and then they had a leadership day that they opened up to any leaders in the UK, and it's been something that I wanted to do for months and months. I was like, okay, maybe I should go, but I don't want to go all by myself, and it's 4 hours, 4:00 in the morning. What about the kids? All these sort of things. And so finally, Denver and I decided we will go, and Kelly came with as well. And it was last minute sort of, let's do this thing. And it was just like, okay, let's do it, and we don't know what it's going to be like, because it wasn't really advertised like this is what's going to happen. It's just they're opening up their venue, their house, their leadership to people who wanted to just participate. And so it was a free thing, and we went up, and when we got there, something in me just almost exploded. I was so excited. So 265. Does that ring a bell for you? Does that bring anything to memory? 265. Not the Tesco's building. Louise pointed that out. Not the Tesco's building, but 265. And if you guys know where that is, it's the Tesco's building. Mike, maybe if you go home, you can see what we're trusting for. Joel, you've got to show your dad. And it's a big building that looks like something industrial. It's not a chapel, and it's not a sandstone building. It's just a building with space with a lot of potential. That's all it is. And we are desperate. Not just desperate, excited at the potential of what that thing could happen. Now, nothing's happening. And so what happens is, a few weeks ago, I'm walking back from school run, and I was like speaking to God, and I was like, God, I'm feeling a little bit tired, because I'm feeling like I'm pushing this invisible thing the whole time. And so you might go, well, what's the invisible thing? Well, the invisible thing is motivation and encouragement and faith, where it's like, is everybody still excited about this? Because nothing's happened. And so you go on these roller coaster journeys where there's all these things, and we're all excited, and there's a promise of a school, or not promise, a potential of a school, and potential of us stepping into a new area and taking ground, and, God doing stuff. And then there's that push to actually get what you're trusting for. And so we drive up into this to this church. It's called Life Church UK, and I just sort of took a breath, because it looks like an industrial building. But more than that, as you look, towering high above it is a mosque. Just behind it, a massive mosque, but it's nothing in comparison to the site. And so 4 hours on a train, and we quickly run into the toilet, and I come out, and Denver's standing chatting to somebody, just somebody. Now, I know this. Denver hasn't quite received this yet, but I take him with me, because then I get to talk to people. When I go by myself, nobody talks to me. But when I go with Denver, he gets to speak to like the people that put the whole thing together. And he's like, I don't know who that is. I was like, nor do I. But we found out that it's the whole guy that's running the show. So in any case, this guy, Rich. Now, when we arrived, there's people going, hi, how are you? They didn't say it, but it's like, we've been expecting you. And we caught a taxi from the train station. It was £2.30. £2.30. Where are you from, Pete? Not that north. East, that's right. And I was like, that's cheap for a taxi. And all Muslim guys and stuff like that. Denver's like, we could have just walked. across like the M25. Like, it was that close, and it was high, steep hill like this. I was like, I'm glad we paid £2.30 to be dropped off right outside. And we come out the bathroom, and Denver's chatting to this guy named Rich. And I just loved it, the reception. And these are just a bunch of guys who live in Bradford who are building a church. And we walk in, and the guy goes, hey. Now, Denver's obviously introduced himself and said, I've almost got no part to this. My wife is doing church, and I'm just here for the ride. And this guy goes, okay. He's like, hey, would you like to see our facilities? So we're like, yes. So we walk out of the massive hall we're in towards another hall that's across just a car park, and that's where they started, in a warehouse. Just in a warehouse, which is where their church was, which is where they've got 3 massive auditoriums, bigger than that, the gym, and it's all kitted out with sound, full band, all these things. And then they've got like the rooms on the side where the Bible college runs, and then they've got a room down the side where they've got offices, and they've just built onto it. But it was just a warehouse. And then we walk out of that, and he takes us in. And now they're running a Bible college as well. So they've got church, and they're running a Bible college. And then he goes, and this is where our nursery school is. That's attached to the church. And I'm going, Kelly, this is why you've come with. Listen to what he's saying. And so we're asking questions, and we're looking at how it's run. And it is an Ofsted-approved nursery school that's running full days, doing exactly, serving the community in ways. There's Muslim children in there. The church oversees it. It's run as a separate business, but part of the charity. Everything that we're going, okay, how's this happening? And in my heart, I'm started going, okay. And as we're walking, these pastors or these people, just people, come past. He goes, oh, this is so-and-so from Poland. This is so-and-so from this. And this guy, Rich, just literally took us around, introducing us to everyone, up the back rooms, into secret places. And I'm standing there going, God, well, if you could do it for them, you can do it for us. Because this is the thing. They live in Bradford. And in the area that they live in, it is what is the stats? 60% Muslim in city centre, but also the lowest pay grade in the UK. Yet they are building this church. And so he's joking with us going, well, obviously, the cost of land in this area in London. So I'm going, okay, but you've just said that your demographics are not like the riches of the rich rolling out their millions. He goes, no, it's not actually. It's on the contrary. It's the gifts of a few being faithful, and this is what's happening because somebody engaged with it. And so I'm standing there going, okay, God, we don't have 265. But that desire, the potential of what it could be. And we have spoken kids' church. We have spoken Bible colleges, night colleges. We've spoken a nursery school. We've spoken vision over what we would do with a space. And God's going, okay, you feel like you're losing it. You're feeling like and then he goes and puts you somewhere where it's like, this is too similar to what we're trusting for. And so I was so excited. And then the word and the teaching that day was amazing. But just the fact that we were there and we got to have a tour. Then we sit down just at the back. There's like 500 people. We sit down at the back and I look up and all the people that Rich introduced us to are all the main speakers. So random. We didn't know them. They don't know us. We leave and then Rich comes out. He goes, hey guys, how was that? There's 500 people there. He finds Denver and he goes, how are you guys? How was that? Do you need a taxi? So we're like, no, we've ordered one. He goes, well, where you going? We go, Foster Square. He goes, I would have taken you. I'm like, well, it's okay. He goes, well, if it's a Muslim guy, it will be. Talk to him about Islam. They love it. So I'm like, okay. He goes, yeah, ask them. So when we were dropped off, the Muslim guy in their like full-on kit, dressed up, but not just a Muslim like you might know somebody at school. It's like they live it. They're wearing it. They've got the beard, the whole, I don't even know what the dress code is or whatever. And we're trying to find the postcode, and all we have is a name and a road. And so we're looking. He goes, what are you looking for? The taxi driver. We're like, we're looking for the postcode. He goes, I know where that is. Because they know that Life Center is there. That Life Center is making a difference in an area. And so when we get picked up, this guy's like in full dress, and he goes, hello. He has to come into a Christian thing, pick us up. The mosque is behind us. And I was a bit nervous. I was. And so we had to pay £2 back to the station. And so why am I telling you all of that? It's because, things happen when, we start trusting, we start off strong, and then, we get a dip because the week was bad, or we were disappointed, or we grow tired. And I'm telling you what, I'll be honest and transparent I mostly am maybe too transparent, but it's been hard going, okay, we're trusting you for all these things, and when are they going to happen? And so we need to, as a church, start going, okay, we are all ready. Because if God gives us the building, he's not giving it to me. If God entrusts somebody into Darren's life, it's not just Darren who's going to have to make the coffee, pitch up at the thing. I'll fetch you. Because what if Darren's not here the day and somebody doesn't greet him at the door? You know, like, we all have a part to play. And so before I jump ahead of myself, let us look at Colossians 3:23. Darren, if you can find it. Sorry, I didn't give you it before. Colossians 3:23 says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as unto the Lord, not for humans or human masters. Or in Ephesians 6, verse 7, it says, serve wholeheartedly as if you were serving the Lord, not people. And those are scriptures that we all know and, you know, we've spoken about. But we're in a season where it's going, okay, well, what are we doing? Are we doing it unto God? And some of us have got a few OCDs. Darren, he doesn't like to admit it, but I like OCD, because the thing is, when we do something well for God, he's going, are you doing it unto me, or are you doing it as just, it's okay, it should do? And so as we build this church, and as we serving in the business, and as we've got to know today, we're building this church, we are pushing, but also God's going, okay, well, this is what's happening on a Sunday, but in the week, that's part of pushing. As you're building your relationships, your business, your children, your whatever you're doing, your community, your neighbors, as you're pushing in that area, are we doing it as unto the Lord? Our 150 that we trust in God for, it's not over yet. It's not for us. We're not going, God, give us 150 people, because that is exhausting. Because when we get it right and we start flipping it, going, God, we're trusting for 150 people because we are in partnership with you. He says he will build the church, not us. He will. But he says, but I need you to go out. I need you to be part of it, be the hands, be the feet. You do it. And when we get it going, God, we're doing this for your kingdom. We pray that we can be part of building 150 new people into your kingdom, into what God wants to do through our lives. Whatever we do it as unto God, not unto people. Things change. And so I want us to read a scripture just for a second, and I'm jumping around and we'll all get together. And it's in John 21, the Gospel of John, from 21 from verse 15. So just a bit of background is that Jesus has appeared to the disciples after he was raised from the dead, and the disciples are all sitting around where they went back to what they knew. So they were serving God, pushing forward, and the next minute they go back to what they knew. They're sitting around with their fishing boats on the beach, you know, things that they're familiar with, because what they left was where Jesus died, the empty tomb. And so here they are, and they haven't caught anything all day. And Jesus appears to them and says, have you caught anything? And they said, no. And he says, well, drop your nets on the other side. But they didn't know it was him. And then he reveals himself to them, and then he feeds them breakfast. So it's like everyone's okay, and this is the scenario, okay? When they had finished eating, from verse 15, it says, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? Yes, Lord, he said. You know that I love you. Jesus said, feed my lambs. And again Jesus said, Simon, son of John, do you love me? He answered, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Then Jesus said, take care of my sheep. And the third time he said to him, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter was hurt because Jesus asked him a third time, do you love me? He said, Lord, you know all the things. You know that I love you. And Jesus said, feed my sheep. Very truly I tell you, when you were younger, you dressed yourself and went where you wanted. But when you were old, you will stretch out your hands, and someone will lead you. Somebody will dress you and lead you where you want to go, where you do not want to go. Jesus said this to indicate the kind of death which Peter would glorify God. Then he said to him, follow me. Peter turned and saw that the disciple whom Jesus loved was following them. This was the one who had also leaned against Jesus at the supper and had said, Lord, who is going to betray you? When Jesus saw him, he asked, Lord, what about him? Jesus answered, if I want him to remain alive until I return, what is it to you? You must follow me. Because of this, the rumor spread among the believers that this disciple would not die. But Jesus did not say that he would not die. He only said, if I want him to remain alive until I return, what is it to you? This is the disciple who testifies to these things and who wrote them down. We know that his testimony is true. Which is quite funny because he's writing this book. It's the same John. And this scripture is probably well known, where people have preached it, and maybe you've heard it, and if you've not heard it, it's been preached in a sense where just before Jesus dies, he has a conversation with his disciples, and he says, Peter, you're going to betray me. And Peter goes, there's no way I'm going to betray you. And he goes, Peter, I know you. I know what's going on in your heart. You think you're not going to, but you will betray me before the cock crows 3 times. And so the events play themselves out. And the next minute, Peter finds himself in a position where he denies God, Jesus. They're around. He's hidden. Jesus is taken from Gethsemane, where he was praying, or the garden, and then he's somewhere else being questioned, and Peter's just hanging back because he wants to know what's going to happen to Jesus. And they're standing around a fire, and the next minute they're going, hey, I recognize you. Aren't you that disciple? Aren't you one of those followers of this guy? And he's like, no, not me, because he's petrified, and all he's really concerned is what's going to happen with Jesus. And so somebody else goes, what about you? Aren't you that guy? Aren't you that guy? No. And these big mouths around this fire, warm fire, and he's standing there. He's like, I just want to look like as part of the crowd, because all I want to do is seeing what's happening to Jesus. And he denies him. Then the cock crows and he realizes. And as that happens, Jesus finds him. He can find us in our brokenness. He can find us in our mistakes. He looks straight at us, and Peter breaks and he runs. And he realizes what has happened. And so then Jesus dies and he's raised again. And now he's still carrying this massive mistake, this brokenness, this thing where he's messed up so badly. He's carrying this. And so he goes back to what he knows, from where he's come from. But also the thing is, when you look at this passage, Jesus addresses him and he goes, Simon, son of John. But if you remember a few passages back, he says to him, Simon, who do you say I am? And he says, you are Christ. And Jesus says to him, okay, that's right, because I haven't taught you that and nobody's taught you that, but you've got the revelation of who I really am, and so I'm going to call you Peter. And he changes his name. But here, he's addressing him again as Simon, before his name was changed. He's addressing him in his failure and that thing of, that rock solid guy who actually messed up, that rock solid guy that had all the future before him. He made a mistake, and he goes, don't forget, you, Simon, you're responding to me like you were. You're responding to me like you're holding back, and you're standing here back where I found you. And he starts asking him questions 3 times. Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? And right in the Bible it says he reinstates him because he denied Jesus 3 times. And with those questions going, do you love me? He gets the opportunity to go, I do. I do. And when you start studying the commentaries and the concordances, they say that he's actually talking different love. And where Jesus is going, do you love me with that sold out, do anything, go anywhere, never look back, that sort of love. And Peter wants to answer him, but he's not answering him with the same love. Because what he's answering him with is out of a place of failure, going, God, you know my heart. And you know before that I said that I would. You know before that I said I will die for you. But I denied you, and I don't know why. You can go and read the commentaries, but it's basically having this internal battle going, that I'm messed up. And so I'm a bit nervous to go, yes, I will, because you've already pointed out to me that I'm frail and I mess up, and all of this is going inside. And so he says, God, you know me, and you know that I love you, and I want to say I love you like that, like what you've asked me to do. But I just don't know how to say that, because I've just proved to me in front of all these disciples that I've messed up. And so there's a lot going on in this conversation. But are you with me on the beach? Are you seeing what's happening? Fishing boats, nets, money, popularity, celebrity. And that's the thing, where we live in this day where it's all about success. It's all about what we can do in our own strength. It's all about if you're popular, you can make a difference. If you could be a successful businessman. Now, fishing in those days was a proper job. Like, people were good fishermen, had organic fish, and I don't know if you can, but organic fish, let's call it what it is, fresh produce, everything you can think of. He could have been that fisherman, Peter. He could have been the guy with the best fish shop in the world. made to order, money rolling in. And here he's sitting, and God's going, do you love me more than all of these? And these can be these disciples, this experience, this thing that you walked away from, this what you find in yourself. Where are you at? Is basically he's saying to Peter. He's like, things have gone down. We all know that, but do you love me more than all these things that have gone down? And so that's one scenario. It's almost like too good to be true, where Jesus finds Peter at this moment. Everything he left behind. And what does he say to him? Follow me. That must ring a bell. Because the first time he was introduced to God, the first time Jesus came past, what did he say to Peter? Same scenario, boats, money, popularity, security, what he could do. He said, follow me. Yet lots has happened since that first encounter with God. The other thing is, where are they standing? They are standing around a fire with warm coals. And the last time Peter stood around a fire and saw Jesus was the last time he actually denied him. So there's a lot of emotion in this passage. There's a lot. There's what I've left behind. Maybe I should just go back and do that because I was good at it. This is my failure. This is my mistake. This is something bad that happened in the past. How do I get through this? And Jesus starts addressing all these things. It's like he puts it all before him. Like if you were supposed to choose, like this, that, and the next thing is right there. And all he does is he says, Peter, do you love me? He doesn't point out, he goes, oh, you remember you left this for me. Do you remember where you met me? Do you remember what we've done? He doesn't. He just picks up right there. He goes, I know that you're still feeling insecure. I know you're still thinking about the time you didn't really do what you thought you wanted to do. Or, you had so many promises and they didn't quite work out the way you thought they would be made. Or, you've been trusting for so long, yet things haven't sort of played out the way you could be, and you've put your faith in things, you've sowed money into things, you've put yourself on the line. Those are all bad experiences where you sort of go, God, I didn't meet up to what we thought was going to happen. And so Jesus steps into the situation. And all I could imagine is that he looks at Peter like a father. We sang that song. How beautiful is that song, Good, Good Father? And takes it, like if you're trying to get your child's attention, and while he's speaking to them, they're like this. And he takes his hands. I could just imagine him going, Peter, do you love me? All these things don't actually matter. Do you love me? And Peter goes, I do. But you can imagine him not wanting to look at him in his eyes because of the shame, because of the disappointment, because of the hopelessness. And he goes, okay, well then carry on doing the work that you need to do. And then he goes, Peter, do you really love me? And the same, just keep that fixed, that gaze, that you and me, Peter, not what you've left behind, not what the promise of the world is, success, money, popularity, celebrity. Are you doing a better job than any of the other disciples? It had nothing to do with that. You have a job to do, Peter. Are you willing to carry on doing it? That's what I see today. And this is what I'm trying to say today. We have a job to do. And then what happens is, like any child, doesn't matter how old you are, we're still all children, right? Any child goes, oh, the disciple. Now you saw how John writes about himself. It's the one who's reclining on Jesus' chest at the Last Supper. He didn't deny God. He didn't stand and say, I will never deny you. He didn't do that, yet he's getting whispers from God. Some people are more spiritual than we are. Some people are hearing God. Some people have prophecy, and therefore they are the bee's knees because I've never prophesied or I've never had a word from God. And, so-and-so is really like looking like they're pushing forward in this area. And so you go, well, what about them? And God goes, what's it to you? What's it to you? You have got a job to do. What's it to you what John is doing? Because we've all got something to do. Now, you could sit there going, well, I've worked really hard at this, and you have entrusted me with something great, but so-and-so is still lying on your chest, and so-and-so is still hearing whispers from heaven, and so-and-so hasn't quite messed up as badly as me. So why, so I might be used, but are they going to be used more than me? And so sometimes it's like in church, we could get caught up in that. And Joel did an amazing job a few weeks ago where he spoke about the disciples on how it was Andrew that actually Andrew invited his brothers, and the next minute you don't hear him again. You don't hear about Andrew, part of the inner three. You don't hear about it because he had a job to do and he was doing his job. Peter had a job to do And God said to him, you still got this job to do. John had a job to do, and he still has the job to do. And all God says is, Peter, look at me, follow me, do what I've asked you to do. And so before we go into the end of this year, like if we've lost a little bit of, God, I'm not too sure what I'm doing, or maybe I should step back a little bit, or maybe I should allow John to step forward because he didn't really mess up like I messed up, or maybe, I've just been around this bad scenario for so much, or maybe I missed it. I should just go back to doing what I know I could do in my own strength, the fishing business, pick it back up again. I can do well at that. And God's going, no, don't miss it. Don't miss what I've got for you. Whatever God has for us to do, we've got to do. And you guys have heard me talk about Salty. If you haven't, Salty is Salty, the singing songbook. He's a blue book. He's from the 70s or 80s, and he's awesome. Okay? And he teaches truths like nobody's business. At Psalmody, like I've never heard it before. I actually need to say it to Jane. She needs to listen to it. But the thing is, he's a singing songbook, and he's teaching little kids about having a heart to save the world or to reach the world. And he's singing all these songs. It's like you can sing songs until you're blue in the face, but if it's not from the heart, it's not praise. And I don't know why I'm telling you about Salty. Let me just look at my notes. But, oh yes, and there's one about being the family of Christ, and there's a whole song about, there's melody, he's got 3 booklets, melody, harmony, and rhythm. Awesome. If you need names for your children, it's coming. Melody, harmony, and rhythm. And so there's this one scene where Melanie introduces herself. She goes, hi, my name is Melody, and I'm the part that people sing that's most popular. Is that right? Melodies. We all sing melodies, right? Yeah? I was never in a choir. And she says she sings that part. It's the easiest. It's the most popular. And then the sister goes, you hear this all on tape. The sister goes, well, my name is Harmony, and my part is more difficult than her part. And then they start having this fight. It is not. It is so. It is true. It's not the. And what difference does it make? Because every song, every system needs a melody, a harmony, and a rhythm. There's your music lesson right there. And as a church, as how we work as one body, there are some of us that are going to be doing melodies. There are some of us that are going to be doing harmonies. There's some of us that can't sing to save our lives, but we're going to have to be there to support the people that are. But the thing is, God's going today, just forget about all these other things that have gone on in the past. Forget, you're standing around the fire of, this is not quite how I pictured it to be, or it's not exactly what was promised, or I'm finding that it's a little bit hard right now, and God's going, whatever I asked you to do, just do it. And so as we're moving forward, we are still trusting God for 265. We are still trusting God to go and look inside there and see what's happening. We are still trusting God to have Christmas there. I mean, there's 10 weeks and then it's Christmas, or 8. Who knows? I've bought advent calendars already, so I'm ready. I've bought half my Christmas shopping. Guys, Christmas is coming. It's the same time every single year. Go and buy Christmas presents. Go and get your advent calendars before they're all sold out. There's your setting you up for success right there. We still want to have it there. We still want to be a church that's alive. We still want to go, okay, you know what? While you being strong in this area, I'm going to support you in this area. When you are making millions for the kingdom, man, I'm going to support you and pray for you for success, for open doors, stepping in and serving God in a capacity that I can't serve it. If you are speaking to children and changing lives, serving in church, it's all about who cares? What's it to you what the other person is doing? Because they've got a job to do as much as you've got a job to do. And when we get given a building, because we're not going to stay here forever, Bronwyn and Myra are bringing 11 people. Now, if we all bring 11 people, there's no way we'll fit in here. No way. Kelly and Darren have brought the fruit of lives of being planted, being established. Is Julia and Johan. They're not here today because Lacey's sick. We've got to pray for that child. She can't be sick every other week. It's not right. It's not right. And then Pete and Leslie, and then La and Rob and the kids, they don't even know it, but they're like part of the family because there's fruit. And if we all just keep doing that, that's going awesome. So things are going to change. We're going to step it up again. We're going to be waiting for people in the car park. We're going to be ready with umbrellas. You guys are going to be like knights in shining armor for all the people that are going to be coming down to us because we have been expecting them. There's no point praying, trusting, and then we don't prepare for them. Let me look at my notes. the lesson that I see in this is that when Jesus takes his attention and he says to him, Peter, just look at me. Let me just speak to you for a second. Let me speak to your heart. There's a song. Who knows that old song, Turn Your Eyes Upon Jesus? This is such a simple message. And sometimes, like church can be awesome where it's like bells and whistles and balloons and we all go, that was great. And sometimes it's just truth going, you know what? You have the right to be part of building God's kingdom. You have the right to be awesome at whatever you do. You have the right not to hold back. And if anything, God's going, please don't hold back. Please don't hold back in the area that I've put you in. Please don't stop doing what I've needed you to do. And so there's that scripture where it says, turn your eyes upon Jesus. And I just see it in the scripture where he just takes hold of Peter's full attention and he goes, Peter, let me remind you there's work to be done. You still need to get out there. You still need to push forward. You still have to gain some ground. We are still partnering in building God's church. We're all on the same team. So he says, look full into my wonderful face. And when we do that, when we step out of going, well, what about him? Well, what about him? What about, what's going on down the line? God goes, okay, Peter, when you look at me, that vision that you were chasing, that you carried, that you knew your purpose, is reinstated. Feed my sheep, tend my lambs, look after my flock. It's reinstated. Those things that you've walked away or grown cold, he keeps speaking to that. He goes, that thing you're trusting me for, the mission we are on, he goes, that still stands. And so turn your eyes upon Jesus. All those other things become nothing. Oh God, I don't know, I'm not as good as John. Well, you don't have to be as good as John. We can't all lie on Jesus' chest. It will be a pile-on. You can't all be, in different areas. It's like we've got to do it. We've got to do what God has to do. And so we're wanting to see growth and flourishing. We want to see 150. We want to see whoever's standing at the door greeting people going, thank you. All that matters is not who's greeting people at the door. It matters that somebody is greeting somebody at the door. And you know what? You guys are all amazing greeters. We went through a season once where we had to be on the door. It was amazing. We used to fight about not being on the door. Why do I always have to say hello to the people? That's wrong, guys. That's wrong. And yet we get to the place where it's like, you know what, we can say hello to somebody. You can invite somebody. You can come along somebody and go, you know what, I'm going to walk this walk with you. Not because somebody's asked you to, but because you've built a relationship with them. You phone them up at night, know they're battling something, going, I'm coming to your house right now. I'm bringing a Bible. I'm going to pray for you. There's salvation right there. Oh, you want to know more about salvation? Okay, we'll talk about his course. Come to this course. Let's carry on doing this. Because we are called to be disciples. You and me, we are his disciple. I am one in you. Johnny knows the song. He's watched it more than me. We've got to back each other. What difference can it make? And I laugh because Bronwyn spoke about it in her offering. What difference does it make? It makes a massive difference. When we're all doing what we should be doing, whether it is somebody's here to serve you a hot cup of coffee and you've just come out of the rain or you've just had a hard week, you guys got to pray for Jolly. Can I share? I'm going to share. Can I? Pray for Jordan. I'm going to share. There's that scripture in Romans where it says, celebrate with those who celebrate and mourn with those who mourn. And you guys could obviously see that I posted that yesterday when Noah got his Player of the Day award, which he's just broken before the service. And someone on Saturday is going to be expecting that little Player of the Week, and so it has to be replaced before then. So guess what I'll be doing this week? And anyway, he's worked hard, and it's not necessarily the best player. It's the one who put the most effort in. They get it. And it's a bunch of little kids running around, dad showing off, stuff like that. Denver kicked the ball, fell on his bum yesterday, just keeping it real and lighthearted. And he gets this medal, and he's so chuffed because you know what little kids are like. They don't really understand that somebody else gets something and they don't, because they all worked hard, right? And it's hard to do it. But Noah finally gets it yesterday, and he put all his effort in his practice. And Joseph's just like, yeah, you got the medal. Can I hold it? Can I hold it? And then there's Eddie, it's real, because Noah had it the week before. He goes, well, why did she get it? She got it twice in a row. But they have to learn these things, right? And And so it's easy. It's that celebrating with somebody. There's cause to celebrate. You go, okay, right. You've tried your hardest. I'm backing you in that. And sometimes mourning with people is sometimes easier, because it's easy to mourn with somebody. Going, oh, that's really not nice that you have to go through that. But celebrating, sometimes we sort of go, well, what about me, or what about him? And you totally just forget about this thing that you can celebrate. But Jolly, you need to pray for him. So he's celebrating because we're moving forward as a church, but he's also got a week on his hands. So on Thursday he went out with a work function, and he was in the taxi with the last 3 guys that were catching the trains, and one of them never made it home, and Joel was the last person to see him. And so he has to speak them through what had happened, and they were all fine, and he got out the taxi and walked, and Joel came home, and he never made it home. They found his body in Waterloo. And so that's not nice to carry. So pray for Jolly, because that's like a very real emotional thing that he has to carry, and he's one of us. Now, it's not his fault, and it's not anybody's fault, but that's like the police want to speak to him, because obviously they want to know what happened and how was the guy, was he in his right mind? And he was a strong army guy who had been to, there you go, the front lines of war. Yeah. So, young guy, and he just didn't make it home. They were all at the same place, and so pray for him. And so that's what we're doing as a church, not going, oh, okay, it will be fine. Well, you know what, it will be fine, but that's still an emotional thing that you have to work through. When somebody's celebrating being promoted, giving bonuses, let's celebrate that, because that's like, okay, God, you've given favor. So as a church, let's be that church going, whatever it is, our focus is going to be you and me, God. Above all these other things, I will follow you. I follow you. Not about what's going on over there, not what's going over there, because as a church, we're stepping up. There's things that we're going to be stepping into. And I just want to say now, sometimes it's like an unspoken truth, but today I want to speak it over us as a church. We are all moving forward. You have all got a place to play. You have all got permission to be awesome and function and respond in whatever God is saying to you. You don't need permission from me, because it's not about me. It's about, God and his kingdom. So when you are making millions, when you are signing deals, don't apologize for those things. When you are calling people in one by one, your neighbors going, I'm coming to Christmas service. Don't go, oh, okay, I better stop because I'm bringing 700. Who's signing up with that? Because you're like, who's going to be there? Okay, well, I didn't maybe get a chance to invite somebody this week, but I will be there and I will greet them and I will serve them coffee and I will teach their children in kids' church. That's how we work together. Do not back down, is what I want to say to you today. If you feel like you've needed to step back and make space today, I want to say, get back up, look God in the eyes and say, I am following you. It's not a hustle. It's a partnership with him. And so today, Johnny's famous line is, get serious or don't get involved. What's the one? Don't get involved. I'm saying to you today, get involved. Get involved on your knees. Get involved in your finances. Get involved in your relationships. Get involved with trusting God for promotion and increase and favor and marriages that are stronger than you've ever thought before. Inviting people that are hard to love, that are a bit overpowering and intimidating. We're not going to hold back for that, because together, somebody's going to gel with them. I promise you that. It might not be you, but it might be somebody else. So you just usher them towards Johnny. He'll just bear hug them. What difference can it make? The most amazing difference. I just had a text last night from one of the school moms saying, who's hosting a coffee morning? I've met a Muslim mom and she needs friends. She said, would you come if I host it, or can we have it at your house? Why? Because it's an environment going, we can do it. Now, it's not about, and she's in a different church, this mum, and she's doing what she needs to do. And we are praying on Friday over the school, and we've got Courtney, and we've got Julie, and we've got Kelly, and we've got me, and there's 4 of us in one church, tiny church, all in the same school, that's covering from nursery all the way to year, I don't know what else. And we are praying for that school. And all the other moms that are Christians, we are praying for that school. Now, it's not about who's coordinating the prayer meeting. It's that we all just pitch up and we're praying and we're trusting God for our children in the playground. Give, and it will be given to you. Pressed down, shaken together, running over. What do we need from God? Just give. It's that simple. Last week we had an amazing guest speaker, Jensen Franklin. For those of you who weren't here, I will make you have to hear it. You have to hear it. I will give it to you somehow. So if it's time to celebrate, in Romans 12, in the Message, it says, laugh with your happy friends when they're happy. Shed tears when they are down. Get along with each other. Don't be stuck up. Make friends with nobodies, and don't be the great somebody. We have to be able to step out and take charge and step back into the place of whatever God has asked you to do. So if you felt like you needed a title or position today, I'm telling you, it's yours. Be the best disciple you can be. Be the best church builder you can be. Be the best giver you can be. Business maker. Be the best you can be, because God goes, don't lose focus. Follow him. Amen.